How's it going, everyone? Wayne the Unknown here, and welcome to another episode of Cosplay Con Talk, where we basically discuss everything pertaining to the cosplay community and conventions. Tonight, we are doing another segment on Get to Know That Cosplayer, and tonight's featured cosplayer guest is drag queen and cosplayer Miss Demanda Martini. How are we doing tonight, Demanda?
I am doing great. I am just balmy here in the DC area. It is very warm. The DC loves to have a super hot September. So here we are.
And I see you're cosplaying as the classic Rogue from X-Men comics.
Yes, yes. This era of Rogue, the like Mark Silvestri Outback era, it is my favorite costume, which is obviously why I did it. Obviously, there's a lot of like love and nostalgia for the Jim Lee 1991 uniform, mostly because of the animated series. But this one's one of my favorite. This is how I was first introduced to Rogue. I think it's a little sleek, a little more clean. So I enjoy this one more.
Did you make that yourself?
So I am very fortunate that I have amazing friends and family that help me make things. So though I can sew, as you watched before when
When
I
you're
fixed
trying to sew your glove.
when I fix my glove, so I can sew. But I started in theater and a theater costume designer. So I know a lot of people who can make things a lot better and faster than I can. Like I can do it. It's going to take me a really long time because I'm not that skilled. So this costume was actually made by my dear friend Carol Russell, who has made a lot of my cosplays and gowns over the years.
Yes. What material is that outfit made from?
This one in particular, so I bought this black bodysuit Zentai off of Amazon. And then the green is just some four-way stretch spandex that we bought at I think Joann's. So the gloves are removable so that way, I can touch people with my powers, but everything else is sewed. So it's one suit. In fact, like the boot covers are sewn on as well. If you look at pictures of when I've worn this before, particularly when you can see my feet, Carol and I developed a way that my shoes, my high heels, can actually fit inside the boot cover, and then the boot cover wraps around the bottom, but the heel can still stick out. Because I tend to wear really tall shoes. As a drag queen, I just figure if I'm going to wear heels, they may as well like just try to kill me. So typically with these, we made these to fit my 5.5-inch heels that I wear.
Those are some pretty tall heels.
They are.
But whatever it takes to look good, right?
I mean, listen, it's fashion. It's either fashion or death.
I mean,
I'm about 5'11" without heels on. So again,
with the heels, you're like 6'3", 6'4", roughly.
Yes. And so as I mentioned, before we started recording, my best friend, Dax exclamation point, she's like 6'4", 6'5" out of heels. And so she's like me, where we like to wear like the big giant ones. So we like to be two gigantic ladies that people cannot miss when we are at conventions together.
Well, if I ever see both of you at convention, I'll know who's who.
I mean, you can definitely see me. In fact, so a few weeks ago, I was at Awesome Con here in DC, and I was dressed as Darkstar from the Winter Guard, and a friend of mine was like looking for me and was like, oh, where is she, and like kind of turned a corner and just saw like very tall lady with like a lot of blonde hair, and she's like, that is where Demanda. I know where she is.
So what got you into cosplaying?
Well, I have been reading comics since 1990. I got into comics like right before the X-Men sort of like relaunch in 1991. So like I like kind of like dabbed my foot into it. I got in through actually the Marvel trading cards with a cousin, which I've talked about. For those of you who follow me or don't, and you should follow me on social media, know that I've done a couple of different interviews with different podcasts and other nerds, just in general. So I got into comics through Marvel trading cards, and then I started reading them. And I've just always been drawn to the costumes and the looks, and especially the female characters. So then when I got into theater and became a costume designer and started doing drag, it just sort of like all of those things just sort of like all made sense together to just sort of come together and become this.
Nice. Do you remember what your very first cosplay was?
Yes, my very, very, very first cosplay. Well, I mean, actually, when I was little, there is a picture of me and all of my brothers dressed up as GI Joes, and I was Jinx because I figured I could, with my parents, I figured I could get away with being a girl if I got to be a ninja and like tied like bandanas all over my head so you couldn't see my face. So it wasn't like I was being like Scarlet, who was like this like sexy lady. It was like, no, I'm a ninja. See how cool this is? But the first cosplay that I wore to a convention, I made the Outback Dazzler outfit, which is the blue with the yellow star in the middle. So that one, again, I bought a shiny metallic Zentai off Amazon, and because we just really didn't know what we were doing, my mother and I put my drag on, I put my body on, and I put the Zentai on, and we hand sewed the star on the chest and on the calf. And my mom, because like again, it was just me and my mom hand sewing while I was in it, so she definitely like got like my underpinnings like caught up in it, so we had to like cut and re-sew parts. But when she was sewing it on my leg, she actually sewed my leg into the suit. It hurt, but it was worth it. That suit lasted me a very long time. It died at AwesomeCon in 2019. I was wearing it for the last day of AwesomeCon, and Dax was helping me into it, and the zipper just disintegrated. Like it literally just like came out of the suit. But I mean, I had worn that suit a lot. Like
Oh, it sounds like it.
But it disintegrated. So Dax just safety pinned me in it. I put my X-Men leather bomber jacket over it and made it through the convention. And then she died at the Renaissance Hotel there in DC in the trash 2 years ago. But I have since remade it with so the metallic material. Like, have you seen like those metallic Zentai suits?
I kind of have. I've seen a few cosplayers like on Instagram and TikTok wear them for like,
Yeah. So that material doesn't last long. Like it doesn't have a good like shelf life, because also when you clean it, because you should clean your cosplay and drag. Don't be stinky. But when you wash it, the material likes to stick together if you don't like stretch it all out before you hang it to dry. And so then when you try to pull it apart, like it starts to.
It's got that rubbery substance.
Yeah. So it like rips apart, and then like some of the color goes away, so it's like silver. So it like that blue suit that I had, it definitely had like suit parts that like kind of like rubbed off, and like there were like parts that were like silver on it. Again, I wore her a lot. She was very well loved. But like that so my Rachel Summers Hound costume is also made out of that. And I try to be very careful when I wash her, and like when she's still wet, you have to like make sure that it's not sticking together anywhere.
There's a chance it could like rip or just something bad
So
happen.
it gets stuck together, and then the color rips off of it. So you're just left with like a silver spot on your suit. It's not cute. But anyway, yeah, so I have remade that Outback Dazzler suit this year. My friend Erica helped me do that. So I do have that costume again. It is probably one of my favorite costumes to wear, just because it's just like my favorite look of Dazzler's. It's sort of like my favorite era of her. Dazzler is my favorite. So yeah.
Nice. Actually, you answered two of my questions that I usually ask. If you ever had a cosplay rip, tear, or
Oh,
something like happen badly.
oh yeah. So like that's happened. I'm trying to think what other like drastic thing has happened. Oh, also that Awesome Con in 2019, that whole convention was very struggle bus for me. So the night before the convention, so the Thursday night before the con, Dax and I went out together and may have had a few cocktails. And when we got back to the hotel, which it was kind of triggering going back this year to that same hotel, like seeing the spot that I fell. But my again, we went out into the streets of DC and got back to the hotel. And as we were walking to the elevator, there was a part where it goes from carpet to tile, and
Hmm.
my heel just got caught
Oh
on that
no.
thing, and I broke my foot.
Oh.
Um, However, I was not to be dissuaded from attending the convention. I just shoved my feet into some high heels the next day, and just kept going. So that whole weekend, like I had a broken foot, and I was just like making it work. But the so not the so the first day of the con, I did my Captain Green Lantern because that was required by the contract that I had with an organization that I was working with at the time. And then the next day I did the original 1960s Batgirl. So not the one from the TV show, not Barbara Gordon, but like the original from the comics, Betty Kane, with her red
And yellow.
dress. Yeah, no. So the yellow was Batwoman.
Okay.
Batgirl was red and green.
Oh, okay.
Um,
And she had the weird like pointed hook
yes,
mask. The one I
yes.
was like, okay.
And so I wore her, and my friend at the time made this beautiful retro styled hair. However, it was a bit heavy, and so all day it just wanted to jump. She wanted to jump ship. We pinned it. We kept moving it with all day. She just did not want to stay on my head. It was like a struggle all day. Um, I probably should have just like I don't know, taken her off, taken the big wig, or taken because it was a double stacked wig. I probably should have just taken the other wig out of it and just like made do. But again, I was already at the con. There wasn't much to do. Once you're there. But it was a struggle.
Yeah, I'm looking at her right now. Green cape, red big
Mhm.
mask, and then the hair and everything. And which this brings me to my next question for some advice. Um, Either for anyone, whether it be male or female, if they're wanting to consider wearing high heels for a cosplay, what advice would you give?
So practice first, find out what you're comfortable with. So I have made the mistake, like a rookie mistake, of wearing very pointy toed shoes on a very high incline. And I literally couldn't feel my feet for about 4 weeks after the convention. Um, so if you're gonna wear heels, so since all of those trials and tribulations, and a lot of the where it's just like a plain Zentai suit, like if I get like a dye sub where it's like the pattern printed on the suit, not something like this where it's like practically made. So for example, like my Dark Star, the Hellions uniform that Dax and I both have. Who's another one? Jean Grey, like my 90s Jean Grey. What Dax and I do is we actually have like a pair of like 3 to 4 inch wedges that we wear inside the Zentai. So we still get like the heel height, but we don't have like the really uncomfortable like high heel like feeling, as well as well as like the I'm trying to. Oh, and it also doesn't like ruin the line of like the Zentai because most times when you get like a dye sub and it's like printed on, like you don't want to like ruin the line of it with like a shoe on the outside of it. But if you're gonna wear heels, I would suggest other shoes that I really like. If you get like a square heel boot, those are relatively comfortable and easy to manage throughout a con. I would, and if you're gonna wear heels, I would also get a platform heel where there's like the platform in the front. That to me just seems like it takes a little more pressure off your foot. I have definitely lasted like for my Firestar cosplay that is also just like this one where it's a suit that like we've done like boot covers over that my shoes can go into. And again, I wear like my 5.5-inch stiletto heels in them. I've definitely lasted like a 14-hour day in them. Not super recommended, but I definitely, do that kind of stupid stuff. I will say, as far as like drag and cosplay go, things are going to be uncomfortable. Like I think that's something that a lot of people don't quite like realize or understand, that it is uncomfortable and you're going to have to like deal with a certain level of discomfort in like being in a suit. Like when people see me out like this, for example, they're like, oh, like, you look so great. And I'm like, well, yeah, but also I'm wearing 4 layers of spandex underneath this suit. I've got foam on my chest. I've got a steel boned corset around my midsection. I've got a sofa cushion around my butt. I'm wearing heels. Like I have, this giant wig on my head. It's hot. It doesn't breathe. I'm not exposed. I don't have any exposed skin on my body, which means that like my body isn't like expressing like air. It's hot. It's uncomfortable. And like you just kind of have to realize that and kind of get over it. That's definitely something that I don't think a lot of people talk about. And drag is slightly, and by slightly, I mean, drag is definitely more uncomfortable than just like cosplay. Like, it does make me laugh. So there's a cosplay, I guess, group that I hang out with. We do like photo shoots together and stuff. The Shady Squad, and so like they're like, hey, let's do.
I've heard of the Shady Squad, held by that Shady Hayes.
Yeah, that Shady Hayes.
Yep, I've had the opportunity to interview them a while back. Really fun person to interview.
Awesome! I love Shady. I love hanging out with them. Hopefully, I'm gonna see them, and actually in a few weeks because we're doing a DC photo shoot together soon.
Nice.
So,
well,
yeah,
this video won't be probably posted for a while, but I can't wait to see the photos.
yeah. I'm gonna be premiering Silver Banshee.
Ooh.
So very excited for that. But anyway, but like those kids are like, hey, let's do a photo shoot at like 10 a.m. on a Saturday. And I'm like, yeah, you get to like zip up a Zentai suit and like show up. Like it's like I have to like do all of this. So it takes me a good 2 hours to get ready. I like to try to give myself 2.5 to 3 hours just so that way I'm not like rushed or feeling pressured or whatever. But then because of like where we live in DC, like anywhere you go, it's going to take you 45 minutes to an hour to get to. So you kind of have to like deal with like all of that too. So it's like I'm up at like 5 a.m. getting ready for this 10 o'clock shoot. And then like the shoot's done, like, okay, well, we're going to go to McDonald's. And I'm like, I don't have a problem necessarily going around in public and drag, but also like I'm a lot. So it's just like, sure, like I'll go, but like I don't know. It is very different. So like when like the kids complain about like not being comfortable in a cosplay or like, oh, the suit is itchy, and I'm like, oh, you can actually feel your body because I can't. I don't even know where my blood is circulating to because and like it's also really weird, like eating or drinking in drag in particular, it's like everything just kind of like sits up here. And so then when like you get out of it, all of a sudden you're just like full and you don't feel good. Also, I do enjoy a cocktail that does sort of like take the edge off of of the massive amounts of pain that go into being in drag. And so like once you get out of drag, it's like all of a sudden the alcohol just like rushes through your system. You just get like drunk really
and you
fast.
just feel it right of go. I mean, your body's like basically being constricted, so you don't really feel a whole lot. But like
Yeah.
when you take it off, you just like you said, you feel everything. I can't
Yeah.
imagine wearing a tight fitted cosplay, not be able to feel a thing, and then once you go back to your hotel or something, you're just like your whole body's just like heavy and you just want to lay and not move.
I mean, it is quite the sort of like scene when we get back to the hotel room and it's like, oh, oh, oh.
It reminds me of a video I seen of a cosplayer. He was like wearing a female character. It was a video I think I saw on TikTok or line where he's just like taking everything off, yelling and screaming. He
Oh
finally gets
yeah,
to his clothes and he just falls onto the bed.
yep, 100. Well, you have to wash your face first.
Well, that too.
But yeah, no, it is very that where you're just like, and then like you have like all of the like lines in your body like left from like your corset and the wig lines and the and also like if you're wearing nails. So I've actually gotten a lot better about like either like wearing gloves or just like painting my nails instead of wearing like nails. Like I'm typically like I do like to wear nails in drag. I just feel like it just adds to the drama and like the heightened femininity of it all. But like it definitely restricts you from like being able to do certain things when you're wearing nails. However, pro tip, if you need to use your phone and you're wearing gloves, if you lick your thumb, it it lets you work. Also, great, I just
Oh,
messed up. Oh, sugar.
oh,
Ah! Okay, well, we're gonna have to pause this and edit that out.
oh no, don't worry. I'll edit out. We're
All right,
waiting.
hold on. Let me go fix that really quick.
Let me just.
Yes,
So,
the
um,
hazards of wearing.
actually brings me to my next question. How long does it usually take for you to get your makeup on for a cosplay, depending on the character? Like, for
Um,
example, your rogue. How long did that take to get her
so
makeup done for?
so it takes me about. Sorry, it takes me about from beginning to end. Like once I start makeup, like that doesn't count all of like the pre stuff that I do to get ready. It takes me about an hour and a half to do makeup and then a half an hour to get dressed. As I said earlier, I like to give myself like 3 hours to get ready, just so that way, like I'm not feeling extra rushed. But I can do my makeup in an hour and a half. Um, but if it's something like a little more complicated or something I've never tried before, or I'm trying to think like what else would like make it go longer. It just kind of depends. But so I used to think that like doing like painting like my skin a different color, like when I did like Virginia Vision or Ruby Summers or Nebula, I thought that it would like take me longer, but actually I find out that it's actually relatively faster to do the parts, or it's actually about the same, but like you have to like wait for like layers to dry when you're like doing like a colored. So the stuff that I usually use like the Miran water-based paints, and so like you have to like wait for them to dry in between, but at the same time then it's like it's not as much contouring and powdering as like my regular face, if that makes sense. Like there's like a couple of steps that like don't really happen, and usually like the eye makeup isn't as like dramatic as something like as something as what I'm wearing right now. So like it's interesting that like it's kind of the same, but and so like it used to take me a really long time, like when I've done like Disco Dazzler, or like sometimes when I do Dazzler, I'll just do like the big like starburst eye that she's been known to have. And I thought that it used to like take me longer to do that to like get the shapes right. But now that I've done it so many times, it's kind of like draw the thing on, fill it in, pat glitter on it, done. And actually it saves me time because then I don't do an eyebrow on that one side, or if I do it on both sides, I don't have to do eyebrows. And the eyebrows just always take me the longest. I hate eyebrows. They're just the worst.
Nice. And that's actually some pretty good advice too for those who are thinking about adding makeup to their cosplays. Now also, and this is a question I usually try to ask every cosplayer, especially cosplayers who've been doing this for a long time. What is your thought on thrifting for first-time cosplayers?
Oh, absolutely. Listen, all cosplay is valid. Whatever it is that you would like to do or wear, Absolutely, do it. I mean, I I enjoy having, so for myself, I enjoy having looks that like look like straight out of the comic or like straight off of, straight out of the movie, and like that's just more like my aesthetic. But at the same time, I've seen some amazing cosplays that it's like thrifted, but also like depending on what pieces you need. Also, like I do a lot of like these, like, color block superhero suits. If I did stuff more like the movies or like people who dress more casually, absolutely, I would thrift stuff. I'm just kind of a weird size, and also as a drag queen, like my sizes aren't typical. So like I just can't go into a thrift store and buy a dress. Like that's just not, and like I couldn't just like take a dress off a rack and just like wear it. It would need to be altered in some way just because like my proportions and my measurements are just not that of a regular human person. Like they're very exaggerated and very ridiculous. Um, but no, absolutely thrift. Like save all the money that you can because this is a really expensive hobby. Because
Oh,
let's
it
face
is.
it, at the end of the day, this is a hobby. There are very few people who get paid to do this, and they're lucky in doing so. But every so often, I'll get a free badge here and there for a convention, or like I was just gifted something from a company, but it's like I very rarely get paid to do any of the stuff that I do as strictly as a cosplayer. Like obviously as a drag queen, like I get paid to do gigs, all the time, even though still not great. We could do better, America, in paying our artists for their entertainment.
True.
But but yeah, so like any way that you can save money, absolutely. And also like um I was on a panel once about adaptive cosplay where it's like where you take a character and you either like change the time period that they're in or like alter their costume to like either fit like a different gender or
Body type, stuff like that.
body types, all of that kind of stuff. And like absolutely, there are a couple of things, in my opinion, that I feel like there need to be in order to make a character recognizable. And the other one of the other cosplayers, Jennifer Gliznak, who was and Sarah Gobra, those are the two other panelists that were on that panel. Where it's like if you get the color scheme right, if you get those things that like clue the person in as to who they are. So also as a theater costume designer, like color is very important because like it tells an audience member like who that person is. So like for example, I could literally wear anything. I typically would want to just have a little bit of green on, but as long as I have this hair, people know. Oh, sorry. Oh, she's in the way.
The wigs, the white wigs, trust
Yeah,
me.
but as long as I have like the hair, people know that it's Rogue. Like, end of story. For like Snow White, the dark hair and have like the three primary colors of like yellow, red, and blue in certain places, like people just get it. For Cinderella, like a light blue with blonde hair, like people understand. I mean, that's pretty much all where like Disney bounding comes from, is like as long as you have those color pieces that clue somebody in as to who that character is supposed to be, that's all you need. Like it's fine. I enjoy seeing people's different takes on stuff. Don't let anyone tell you that your look isn't right because because of this, that, or the other. You didn't buy this from this person or that from that person, and you didn't make it by hand from scratch. And the very first cosplay competition I ever entered, side note, I didn't understand all of the like rules that went into a cosplay contest.
Oh
So
no,
when
there's a lot of rules
yeah,
too.
so when they asked me how much of the costume did I make, I was like, well, technically I made all of it. Like I sourced all of it, I altered all of it, all of this stuff. And they were like, oh, so you made that corset? And I was like, no, who the F makes a corset? Like, like, you know what I mean? I was like, no, like I also didn't like lay this hair. I also didn't like weave this fabric that I'm wearing on my like, so like that was like, it was like a very weird thing to me because I didn't understand that like there are rules as far as like how much of it is like made by hand by you in order to like pass the cosplay contest rules or whatever. So like don't let anybody tell you that you're like, and the thing is like the judges were not rude to me. Like they weren't like judging me. They were just like, oh, you don't know that these are rules that we have. And I was like, oh, okay, well that makes sense. But no, I had no idea that that's what you meant. Like you meant like what of this was just like a piece of fabric and then like became,
Right.
you know,
Luckily, some contests aren't like that where you don't have to explain how the cosplay was made.
yeah. And I mean, again, any cosplay is fine. I love seeing just cool, different, weird takes on cosplays. I think they're fun. So yeah, so thrift whatever you can, you know, source whatever you can, borrow stuff. I also got, so someone tried to read me for like reusing a wig, and I'm like, I had a red wig, so yeah, I'm gonna wear it again. Like I'm not gonna have like 4 of the same wig just because it's a different character. Like, no.
Right. No,
Like
that makes
obviously I'm not,
perfect
I mean,
sense.
obviously with Rogue's hair, like I'm not gonna like try to pass this off as like Princess Leia or something. Like obviously not. Like that's ridiculous. But like just a plain red wig, yeah, it's gonna be the same one.
A few more questions here. What would you say the hardest cosplay is that you've ever done?
Hardest cosplay that I've ever done. Like in what way? Like
Um,
wearing
like,
it, like
like,
making
well,
it.
I guess, like, let's see here. That's actually a good question. I have to think about that now. I guess in retrospect, like, what were some of the challenges, for it? Like, how long would you say it took you to make, and also, was it easy to get on?
Um, well, right now, I was still in the middle of making it, and it's because it's a lot of different pieces, and because of having different people help me. So I'm currently working on. I'm, as I said, a huge X-Men. My very favorite X-Men title was Excalibur, the original run, where it was the British superheroes, and there was a character named Cerise in there. And so an artist named Jamie Faye, who is Jamie Faye X on Instagram, he did a redesign of Cerise's look. And so I decided at the beginning of this year, so this is now, 9 months ago, that I was going to do this look. So by like February, March-ish, Carol had made me like the suit. It is very intense, and it's also all pleather, so it's very uncomfortable. It just does not breathe at all, but it looks gorgeous. All of the foam armor pieces Dax is making, and she has made most of the pieces. However, just with different things that have happened, other commitments that are going on, family stuff, it's just being a pandemic, all of those things. She's just not done yet with all those pieces. And then her hair is very intense. It is an ombre from black, purple, 2 colors of pink to white. And like, if you're familiar with like the Shi'ar aliens, where it's like just like a big like feathered like thing around your face. So I still have to make that. So I have to sew in all the different colors into a base wig and then get it all to stand up somehow. So I would say like this one by far has been like the most challenging as far as like different skills and different things that are going on and asking different people to make different parts of it because of like their expertise. So like I'm good, like me personally, I can do like I splice this wig together. I can style some hair. Sometimes I get other people to kind of like help me with some things, but like sit down and like sewing tracks in a wig, I can do that. That is something I can do. So that's the part that I'm taking care of. And again, Carol did the suit. So the suit's done, which is great. And then Dax is such a great foam maker. Like she makes incredible foam pieces that look like armor or whatever. And so yeah, so I would say that this one that isn't done yet is by far like the most difficult. As far as like one that was like the makeup was sort of complicated, and then like the suit itself was just uncomfortable. I would say when I did Copycat last October, Copycat from X-Men Universe. So she has like a bluish, whitish face. So white is the like hardest color when you're like painting, at least in my experience. When you're painting, try to get like solid and opaque.
Like Joker.
So like that took a long time, and then like using like blues to contour, like it was very, for me it was very difficult. It was like pushing my makeup skills to like
the limit
of like trying to like make it look like a person's face. And then like the suit was simple, like it was just like a blue zentai, but like I bought like this it was actually like a mountain climbing harness. And because my body proportions, as I've said, are not a real person's, they didn't fit quite properly. So like the ones that like strap under your legs, like under your thighs, they'll look cool when I can finally get it clasped, because of like the fact that my hips are not real and are made of foam. Like it just like the pressure from it just like dug into the inside of my thighs. It was very uncomfortable. So like when I wear like that harness thing, though it looks cool and I like wearing it, it is really uncomfortable to wear. So I'd probably never wear it to a convention. I've worn it in a couple of photos. I've worn it in with a couple of looks, but I don't think I'd ever wear that to like a convention, because it is very uncomfortable. But yeah, I would say that's it. I mean, the most uncomfortable I've been at a convention was AwesomeCon in 2019 when I had a broken foot, and I was still just like walking around on it in heels.
Now the last question to end this podcast series. Any last minute advice you want to give for first time cosplayers or first time con goers?
If you're wanting to get into cosplay, or wanting to get into drag, or wanting to do makeup or do hair or anything of that nature, just do it. I can give you all kinds of advice. I can tell you like where to go, like who to ask, what things to buy. Dax and I do a whole panel about like drag cosplay basics, like the things that we use, that people don't really talk about, like where we get our breast forms, where we get our hip pads, where we get our hair, like those kind of things. Like I can tell you things like that. So for those of you out there, like DM me with questions, absolutely, I will help you. But like just do it. Just start. Watch YouTube. Follow creators on social media and see what they do. Follow their Patreons, or whatever, if they do like series as far as like styling wigs or making cosplays or making props or things like that. The only way to get better at doing something is by doing it. My makeup skills grew so much during the pandemic because I was doing my makeup 3 to 4 times a week versus doing drag like once every quarter. Like the only way to get better is by doing it more. And so if it's something that you want to do, you just kind of have to like bite the bullet and just do it. You don't have to have the best makeup products. You don't have to have like, the premier, Yaya Han fabrics. Like just start somewhere and just do it. Another thing, I read a while ago is, a lot of especially like newer drag queens, and I sort of like take this to also be like young cosplayers. A lot of people think that like the first cosplay that they do, the first drag look they have to do, has to be like immaculate. Like you see like these people who have like millions of followers on social media, like it has to be like this immaculate thing. No, your first look just needs to be your first look, and everything is a work in progress.
Basically,
like,
something that defines you.
Yeah. Everything's gonna be a work in progress. Like this suit, again, I just sewed this glove.
I remember before we started, you were having like sewing it. It took you like just like a couple minutes.
And this wig has gone through, I think, 3 transformations until now. Like it used to just like the white part used to be really long, and then I cut it up, and then I styled it. My makeup is also never the same when I do this look. Like just go out there and do it. Like you'll continue to just grow, sort of in your craft. Con goers, okay, so if you're gonna go to a convention, please bathe, please wear deodorant, please be conscious of other people's like beings around you. Like give people space. Also, just don't be gross. Also, just because I make jokes about the fact that I am foam and like these aren't real boobs or this are real hips, does not mean that you get to touch them. Does not mean that you get to grab them. Do not touch my hair. And that should honestly go for any person, regardless of who they are, their gender identity, who they're dressed as, whatever. Do not touch people without permission, especially now when there's still so many health risks going on right now. Be as safe as possible. Wear a mask if you are able to. Please get vaccinated, so that way we can start going to more conventions and doing more cool and fun things.
No, I completely agree with that. And cosplay does not mean consent, as you see at a lot of cons. They have the giant cardboard paper signs, everything.
Absolutely.
Again, yeah, no, I completely agree.
And I mean, and that also goes with as far as like consent. Also, if you want to say hi, say hi. Don't be gross. Don't say things. Also, something else I kind of wanted to talk about is pick a character or a fandom or something that you really enjoy and you really like. I'm not saying that like every cosplay you're going to do or want to do is going to be like a character that a shit ton about. Like sometimes you just kind of like this look and you just want to do it, whatever. But like people are going to want to ask you who you are and maybe more about that character, and so it does help if you kind of know and care about the character,
or at least do your research, or at least do some research, so you have an idea.
Yeah, and I'm not saying you need to know every single last thing about the person. And again, sometimes you're literally just gonna go, I just really like this look, so I just wanted to do it, and that's also fine. But like again, it just sort of like makes things a little more enjoyable if you pick something that you're really passionate about. But also what I was kind of talking about earlier is like also don't be gross and mean and weird and like make fun of people for like either not knowing about a character that they are, question them about whether or not they know. One of my worst con experiences ever was I was dressed as Dr. Moira McTaggart from the X-Men, and someone wanted to question me about why I was dressed like that and that she never looked like that. And I didn't know what I was doing. And I was like, actually, and just like read them for filth there on the convention floor. And they're like, oh, I didn't know that. And I'm like, yeah, well, I did, which is why I wore this. Like, again, just because especially female presenting people, like they're not fake nerd girls. Sometimes they're just nerds. Like they probably also know way more about the stuff that they made and that they're wearing than you do.
Exactly.
So again, just be kind to everyone. Everyone's there to have a good time, and just enjoy yourself.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. I think that should about do it. Again, Demanda, thank you for coming on for this episode of Cosplay Contalks. Get to know that cosplayer and sharing your cosplay experience. I've definitely learned a lot, and also talking about your drag as well. I think anyone who'll be watching this will appreciate it. And also, if anyone has any questions for her, links to her social media will be in the description below.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me. It has been a pleasure. And you can find me across all social media at Demanda Martini, DMANDAMARTINI.
Nice. Well, thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Again, I'm Wayne the Unknown. Thank you for listening to this episode of Cosplay Contalk. Again, until next time, thank you for listening. And as always, thank you for watching.